Hello there, welcome to the GO4 Finals, the European side for Guns of Boom. I am Lethal, joined by Vino. Vino, how are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I said I had a headache earlier, haven't got one anymore. Feeling, you know, pumped, hyped, ready for going all this.
Good, it's good.
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad. I'm quite glad anyway, considering the circumstances. And of course, we do have the roadmap. Leading to the final, of course, all these teams will be playing place for Los Angeles, of course. As you remember from back in July, Black Bulls did win that EU Invitational back in Katowice, and there's still a couple of spots left for that European side. I think from what I heard previously, Forza do already have that first place spot qualifying going into Europe, so going for that LA spot. There's still one more left and one more direct invite. And for the North American side, we still have the first, second and third place up for grabs, as well as that direct invite. So it's going to be all to play for, and it's going to be interesting to see how these things coming up, because it's getting closer to the end now for the Guns of Boom season. And of course, we do have the current standings to show exactly what the points are and how all the teams are getting on. So as I mentioned before, Forza are very far ahead considering what I would have assumed before, because we know this team back in July wasn't on the best of spots in terms of when they actually came together from two different teams. And you know, I actually mentioned on the analyst desk that you get some teams who join together where it gets to a point either they have a honeymoon period or it just flops overall. But they've been doing really, really well so far. And of course, back-to-back and Israel Black Bulls and Jug Knights of Honor are not too far behind. The points are still very, very close between them. But we do have the other standings for the points we've collected over the last few weeks, which we will jump into there. And as you can see, the Black Bulls do have 250, Fours have 200, and the Jug Knights of Honor have 110, and the other Knights of Honor squad have 95. But again, very, very tight-knit so far. Did you expect the points to be this close? And also with the other current standing, did you expect Forza to be so far ahead?
I didn't. I think it shows the importance of playing together with each other and stuff. Obviously, originally they'd come together, they'd not had that experience of playing with each other, and like now they've had that chance and they're playing as a team. It's really showing how well the experience is paying off for them. It's nice to see them doing so well. Yeah,
all that practice and experience basically paid off for them, like you mentioned before. And of course, we do have the bracket for this week to see exactly who will be against who and how things have panned out going from the quarters into the semi-finals. So we do have a Black Bulls mirror, which should be quite an interesting one. You could say a team kill in that kind of retrospect. And the other side of things, we have back-to-back and Element Pro Gaming. And we know back-to-back, especially from that last invitational back in Poland, a very, very strong squad, especially with players like Killing Machine and John Wick there, who really got a huge amount of fragging power here. And looking at the scores on the left side, it's been a clean sweep throughout the whole board. Looking at some of these matches in those quarterfinals, did you expect some of those scores, or was it like not as predictable as you once thought?
I mean, I've got to say it's quite impressive to see Jug Dark Knights of Honor get to where they are, considering they've only been like playing for the past 3 weeks. They're a very newly formed team, so for them to even get to that point, I'm not surprised to see back-to-back get through, but it's nice to see a new team coming up and managing to get this far. But I think it should be some interesting games to see here today.
Yeah, I think Elements Pro Gaming taking Forza down 2-0 is a very interesting one. You know, we've seen it with Guns of Boom as well. Some teams will just come out of the woodwork and just fly in some weeks, and other weeks it will be a little bit predictable in terms of the scoreline. But that's definitely a very interesting one to pick up on. And then now they're going to play against back-to-back in that second semi-final. It will be just quite interesting to see exactly how they can actually follow through, to see if they can actually carry on with that momentum going forward. And of course, every point matters now, considering how late it's going to be into the season, and now there's only like one more after this, so it's going to be interesting to say the least. But apart from the Black Bulls one, it should be a pretty close one, I think. And with the second semi-final, do you think back-to-back should be able to take it, or do you feel like Elements Pro Gaming, with that morale winning that first match in the quarterfinal, can take things further?
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, we've seen back-to-back play a few times now, and they're a very strong side, but Element Game, I don't know. I think it's a hard one to call. I'm excited to see the outcome of it. I'm really looking forward to that game. I think it should be quite a close one, but I think probably back-to-back are going to... I don't want to make predictions, but in my opinion, I think they probably are going to edge it.
Yeah, you'd feel like a team like Back-to-Back will, like you said, Edgy, you know, I know with players like Killing Machine on that team, very, very good with a sniper. It's very hard to get around him or hold him back. And even when you try and flank him, he hits almost every shot. He's definitely a powerhouse, especially on that team with his KD, his win rate, and his fragging ability going into that now. But we do have the map vetoes now going into this next match to see exactly what's been chosen and what's not. But as you can see, we've got Farming Complex for the control point for the Black Bulls, and for the other side, for the Israel Black Bull squad, they've chosen Wild West Saloon, King of the Hill. And if it does go to a tie, it will be Paradise Island, one of my personal favourites actually, for King of the Hill. And how do you feel in terms of these kind of game types? Because I've noticed a lot of TDM has actually been banned on this. And one thing to remember as well is the fact that with Atrium, that won't be in the pool this time. Now it will actually be Old Factory, but it doesn't matter too much anyway because that's been vetoed. But going back to my last question, are you quite surprised that no TDM has actually been placed in this matchup?
I think I am and I'm not. I am and I'm not. Obviously, with TDM, it's a TDM. Everyone knows what to expect from a TDM. But with King of the Hill and Control Point, there's more tactics at play. They've got to play more smart, especially with a game mode like Control Point. Obviously, it's not just that King of the Hill. It's not just keeping the 1 point. You've got to keep rotating around, making sure you're holding all them points. So Control Point is always, I find, the most interesting to watch. I always enjoy watching a good Control Point game. So I'm not surprised. But at the same time, I do like watching a good team deathmatch. I would like to have seen something, but no, I don't particularly find this surprising. I think Paradise Island is probably one of my favourite maps on here, so I'm looking forward to seeing Black Bulls versus Black Bulls on this map. I think that should be a really interesting one as well.
I like it. We've got the same favourite, you know? It's good. It's all right. Because, yeah, with Paradise Island, it's a very interesting one to say the least, because of course, you know, even though that hill is right in the open of everything, there's multiple ways you can actually try and get it one way or another. You know, there is obviously, of course, some kind of circumstances where you can flank around behind them on their spawn points, but then again, you've got to remember that respawn immunity. You can't go there too much too quick, willy-nilly, or anything like that at all, especially if there's like 3 or 4 down and you're pushing around that same time. But maybe if like it gets to a point where all 4 of them, or from the opposite team, maybe can actually push through and actually already going for that point, that's when it's best to actually try and flank around behind them and try and get something going. So in terms of like death screen and in terms of like how many they've got down, that's where the comms, I feel like, really make a difference, I'd say.
Yeah, I think on that map, obviously the main control point, that's where the bulk of the fights are going to take place, but I think it's always quite interesting to see like behind the houses at the back as well. Obviously you get quite a few people coming to flank, and sometimes we get some really exciting fights coming up there as both teams are coming up round the back trying to sneak their way in, and they're like, oh hell, and they're trying to like so I think that's a point to watch out for. I think there's some interesting fights to be had around there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a nail biter. That map has always been a nail biter every time I've actually watched it. And even with Wild West Saloon as well, that was quite an interesting choice to say the least. And what we're going to see now is see exactly how this is going to pan out. But of course, we do have the control point on this map. And speaking about a little bit before, do you normally see these kind of game types get quite close, especially with the control points?
I think they can. It's either really close or one team just absolutely decimates the other team and they're like hundreds and hundreds of points ahead. It can go either way with these. I find, personally, I think when I've watched it, I've seen that King of the Hill is usually closer, but control points, they can go either way. You can never predict it.
Nah, that's right. And the Black Bulls on the blue team got 3 down straight off the bat, but Divine King straight afterwards managed to get 2 of his own, managed to get a triple, and he had a killing spree on top of that. So what a great start by the standard Black Bull teams on the orange side.
I mean, that triple kill will definitely help with their points there.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, anything like that, of course, with the multi-kills or getting those sprees, or just add additional points onto those, of course, with the control points going in afterwards. But so far, the Israel Black Bulls team are still taking that lead, even after Divine King there was doing such a great job. But XONC, they managed to get a trade, and now the Israel Black Bulls squad again getting 3 down. So this is an opportunity to try and get some of these points back.
It's interesting to see at the moment you've got both A and C being taken, and no one appears to be going there at the moment, but I'm looking forward to seeing some of the fights on some of the points.
Yeah, it's quite strange because normally on this kind of map you usually expect them to go for one of the side ones straight away, especially near their spawns point, especially on the spawn cycle as well. But they go for the middle one anyway, just due to the fact they managed to hit a couple down there. That's a fantastic kill by Romeo, but still there's 2 dead now for the Israel Black Bull squad, so they need to try and be careful here, but doesn't matter too much. Spleen managed to take one of his own, managed to trade, and Armo's got another one there, so that's 2 down now.
Israel Black Bulls are both trying to take A and C at the moment. They're holding B, so if they can take all 3 points, speak of the Devils, Black Bulls have came on to C now, so they're just preventing that.
Yeah, that's right. Arme say you saw there, he got a double and a killing spree just to help him float even further now. Still, in terms of points-wise, there's 95-point difference now between the 2 teams, and still anything in it for the Black Bulls side on the orange side. But it's going to be interesting to see how we come back. They've actually brought the score gap even closer now. It's only 11-point difference between the 2 teams, so this could go all the way here.
I think it's those brutal kills, those killing sprees, though, that are really just helping bring that score. Because it seems that Black Bulls are holding most of the points, but then Israel Black Bulls are just, you keep seeing them with the killing sprees, the triple kill, the team kill. Well, not that we've seen a team kill yet, but I think that's how they're keeping that point difference so close.
Yeah, that's right. I think one of the main things with the normal Black Bulls team is the fact that their flanks have been really on point, and there's quite straight up fights which they've taken throughout most of this game, but they've tried to try and feel really closely now, and now the Israel Black Bulls team, now they just managed to get that double, and it's not too far behind it, and they're trying to catch up again. It's quite surprising how the orange team on the Black Bull squad managed to have such a big lead. They've lost it, but now they managed to take over and increase it even further, so there's only a 30-point difference between these 2 teams.
Really close now as we come into the final moments of the game. Still anyone's game at this point in time.
Yeah, that's right. There's only a 20-point difference then. Of course, look at that. 4 down now for that Black Bulls team straight away. There could have been any other way, but any way to end it for them is to try and push through and try and get no deaths. But sadly for them, that just wasn't the case. Getting that 4 down, I think they felt like with the Israel Black Bulls team, they can at least make some kind of comeback, close the gap, at least try and overtake from there. But when I saw that 4 down straight after that, I think we knew that, yeah, it was coming to an end, in all fairness. But I think one of the main talking points was the fact that they weren't really going for the side points too much for the A side or C side. They were going for the middle quite a lot, which is understandable considering the circumstances. But the orange team on the Black Bull squad did such a great job just making sure to hold them back as much as they could on spawn, especially after the immunity and all that bits and pieces. But they just had so much great cover, and they was able to do the bait and switching so much better compared to the Israel Black Bull squad. Yeah.
I think it's good to see how. Yes, it's very important to hold the points in this game, and that is where the bulk of your points will come from. But it is impressive to see how well you can hold a team back as well. It's
yeah, no, it can be quite interesting. But you saw straight off the bat there with the with Black Bulls, they got that 3 dead straight away and got a killing spree as well. I mean, of course, Divine King was just all over them, like, for that first half of the game. He was doing some impressive stuff, but getting that 4 down right at the very end, I feel like the Israel Black Bull squad just tried to, not try and go for the inevitable, but just try to over-push, like trying to over-accelerate themselves further, just to try and get something done, because they knew time of the essence, and in that kind of situation, when you've only got like 10 or 20 points remaining, especially for your opponents, it's literally going to have no deaths and try and keep that control points as much as you can. But it's very hard saying that, considering you have to push them and actually go for those trades in those kind of circumstances. So it kind of makes sense why they had that 4 down, but there's some great flanks by them throughout that last third of the game.
Sure. I think Lord Mano is one I expected to do a bit better than he did there. Usually Lord Mano is right on point with the frags, but this time I mean, don't get me wrong, he was playing quite smart. He was taking people off of those points. He was managing to take the points back, but I just expected him a bit more from him, if that makes sense. Yeah,
just that little bit more. It might have not been his best game type, in all fairness,
maybe
because
maybe not.
That's what kind of things happen. But we saw like Spleen as well. He got some great doubles throughout that whole time, like in multiple occasions, just to keep the points up par. Because remember, we said before, Black Bulls were quite far ahead, and then we managed to close that gap, but it just wasn't to be, just due to the fact that they had 2 or 3 of those points controlled most of that game, and they just couldn't really find anything to try and edge him. I think one of the annoying things as well is the fact that, of course, when you do push them and you do have those control points, if they're actually on defense in any way, depending on where they hide or where they actually go in some time of aggression, they're always going to get that first shot, and they know that as well. So they have to go into pairs or as in trios sometimes to grab some of them up all the time.
I think that showed as well, like with the amount of like probably about 4 or 5 triple kills we saw there. There was a lot of like just straight out wiping, and that really showed through the gameplay as well.
Yeah, because it's quite rare to get 4 dead, like, you know, straight off the bat like that, because you expect some trades or something happening from there, but it just wasn't the case. They managed to all 4 stay alive, and I think they knew straight then that right at the very end, it was just absolutely no chance, no go, and then just finished that game there. But with Wild West Saloon, of course, this will be the first Hill game, so is there any strategies which you may have noticed or picked up on in the past where you feel like either team might have an edge? Because you normally see like the sniper bottom middle, like behind some of the trucks, and like just making sure they keep them on spawn the whole time. But it's very easy to sneak around that saloon area, but even if you do, it's very easy to get sniped around those kind of areas, even if you do make those crucial flanks.
It is. I think trying to flank that sniper is going to be very important in this, because like you say, they can just keep their eyes straight down the line and they can see the control point from far away, so they can really control the control point. So I think it's very important to keep on top of that sniper, make sure he's not wiping out your whole team while you're coming onto the point and he's just bam, 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 like.
Yeah, this is the problem as well, because especially with that area of the map with bottom mid, it's very, very, like, you'd think because it's such an open space, it's very easy to take out that sniper, but it's not really, because the flanking positions you go from, you're always going to be in that snipe range all the time. Even with the porcupine or anything like that, it's still very difficult to try and get in range of it. And of course, with your 3 teammates consistently setting up around that area, especially the saloon side, it's very, very difficult to at least try and hold them back at that stage. Yeah,
I think a lot of the routes you'd take to try and flank the sniper as well is where the rest of their team will be entering the point. So it's not only trying to flank the sniper, it's taking out the teammates as you go along. So it can lead to some interesting fights, to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely will, and of course we will be going straight into this map, and we were talking about the strategies on how they actually use that sniper and how well they use it as a whole, and we're going to see how well both these teams will set up. That last game was extremely close, and I think it is going to be more close than we expected, just due to the fact that both these teams, you know, both from the same kind of era, kind of what they do and all that bits and pieces of the team. So these teams would have scrimmed a lot against each other, so they're going to try and counteract as much as they can. And as you can see, they're straight away trying to fight for that bottom middle point. And look at that, 3 down straight away, and a fantastic nade for the double by Armace there.
I think iPelux is one to watch. He was doing quite good last game as well. I think he was managed to get a good few frags there, so I think he'll be killed as I say that. Of course he will.
It's just typical, isn't it? It's Caster's curse at the end of the day. And Black Balls there, you saw, got 4 down, and Spleen just finished off the last person. Managed to get a double with his own. So even though they got 4 down, Spleen came in, managed to get 2 to just keep him at par a little bit. Nice triple kill there. And almost got that 4th kill, but sadly for him, Duran managed to steal that anyway from him. And Spleen had a fantastic start here. He had a fantastic start in that last game. In this game, it's no different.
I think Romeo showing the prowess of the porcupine there. That damage over time can really help out in matches like this. It can just help. You know, you may have been traded, but can help just take out that person at the end there. So.
And that's the one thing as well, because with the Black Balls already qualifying as well, they're not going to use all their strategies. I think some people almost spoke about before where, in terms of them already qualifying, they can save their strategy to just play default as much as they can. But as you see here, there's 3 members in that hill, and the only risky situation that is the fact that one nade can damage and severely being in that. But they took the risk anyway, knowing that they got at least 3 down there, and they were in a really good spot. And of course, now Armace managed to get that first kill, Pelox has got the second one, and managed to get a double there. But Romeo now with that killing spree, just keeping Black Balls in this so far, and of course with a triple as well on top of that.
I mean, Romeo as well, he uses the scout to get him to the point quicker, which really helps, and then when he gets there, he switches out to either the Odin or the Porcupine, which just helps him absolutely decimate the other team, which has been evident from the kills so far.
And I like what XONC's been doing as well. Of course, with XONC, you can see there, like, he was sitting back on the bottom mid side, on his side of the map, and just rifling anyone down that came past, and just getting as much damage down as possible for the rest of his teammates to try and pick him off straight forward. But Black Balls now have actually got the lead. They didn't have the lead for much of his game until now, thanks to that killing spree earlier from Romeo, and of course, with XONC's rifle, just keep him at bay and just getting all the damage down as much as possible, and increase the lead further and further. And, you know, Israel Black Balls need to do something here, because, of course, this could be the final game for them in the bracket if they don't actually change things up here.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting to see them coming in. Like, obviously, this is a lot more of an elevated map than some of the other ones, so you see them dropping in from the top there, and they're just Israel Black Bulls are just falling straight in front of the Black Bulls. They're aware of it. And I mean, ESL and LC there, Divine King, both just absolutely on point, knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, I think Black Bulls have had so many great angles on this map. Throughout that whole win, you had 3 different players around that bottom mid area, just making sure to get as many angles as possible, and there's only 40 points remaining. So Israel Black Bulls really need to do something here to make some kind of difference, but it's not looking likely so far. It's going to be too late.
Black
yeah,
Bulls,
that's right.
Yeah, they've taken it.
And of course, they've taken that, and of course, a lot more comfortable compared to that last one. We spoke about before how close it was, and you know, it's the same as what happened to that last game where they had a bit of a struggle at the start, and then after they struggled at the start, they managed to make a comeback, fix what needs to be done, had more angles to kind of get that damage done, and then get the cleanups afterwards. And you saw from there was some great chips from Romeo, of course, with that killing spree on top of that. And I think there was someone else who was Spleen who also had, again, multiple doubles there to try and not just clear out, get that point control and trying to keep that saloon area to make sure they can't flank from inside. But sadly, it just wasn't to be for them.
No, no. I think it was good seeing, like, as I pointed out during the game, like Romeo's making the most of that scout. Like, he knows he can afford to trade a few kills because he can get to that point a lot quicker than some of the others can because he's got that added speed bonus.
And I think that's right, yeah, with that speed bonus, he's of course, even on spawn, he can just rush straight in if the rest of his teammates manage to get that cleanup. And you saw there, it's very, very risky. When you do have 2 or 3 members in that hill, it's like I mentioned before, like one nade can just make all the difference in terms of getting all that split damage across the board. But the good thing about Black Bulls is due to the fact that the only time they did it was when they got at least 3 or 4 down, because it's way too risky otherwise. And it's all about the trade game, especially on this map, and it's very easy to try and actually get into that splash damage in that kind of area. But yeah, you saw Black Bulls managed to take that lead, and they managed to just extend it so far that Israel Black Bulls didn't really have too much of a chance, in all fairness.
I think it was interesting to see as well, like, on Israel Black Bulls, the scores of the individual players was a lot closer, whereas on Black Bulls, it was more like, it was XLNLC, it was Romeo, and they were doing a lot better. They were taking a lot more, they were on the point a lot more, they were taking a lot more of the kills. So I think that's interesting. Do you go in and try and play as a team? Do you all try, or do you rely on your strongest players? Do you go, right, Romeo can get there fastest, I'm going to support him, I'm going to make sure he's got what he needs to take that control point and take that capture point and make sure we are winning?
Yeah, that's right. And of course, you can see the stats here from both teams. And the Israel Black Bulls, the KDs are pretty much the same. Not really too much to talk about there. But on the other side, with the red team on Black Bulls, Exxon did a fantastic job. I spoke about his rifling and how much damage he put on the board, going 10 and 8 there. But Divine King, 11 and 8 with 12 assists. It was a assisting machine for that whole game. He just put damage on everyone like he did with Excellence as well. And just did a fantastic job just keeping them at bay and making sure that he can get any damage done across the board. And with this game as well, with Guns and Boom, Mr. Favre, if you see someone with a huge amount of damage dealt, that shows a good way of saying that how good their movement is on the map, because it's very easy to kind of get stuck in a rot in some places here and there. But he was always changing his spots every single time. But the talking point was that they always had 3 members around that bottom mid, checking all angles, and always had that full setup, and never really gave it all away at all.
No, not at all, not at all.
And is there anything else, like, you can maybe assume that, like, anything Israel Black Bulls could have done to maybe counter their strategy or counter their setup? Because I feel like there's a lot of times where, especially in the saloon area, they didn't get too much high ground.
I think it was, they didn't seem to stay together quite as much as regular Black Bulls did. They almost went in, not one by one, obviously they know that they can't do that, they're not going to get away with that, but almost they did. Like, they didn't quite stay as strong as a team, whereas regular Black Bulls, they were all there together, and they were all there. It felt like they were supporting each other a lot more. So I think it's very important to flank round, it's very important to try and take out the play, but also you need to remain a team. You need to support each other and make sure you're there for each other as you're coming onto the point. Yeah,
that's where baiting and switching is so important, especially in those kind of circumstances. But that's the first match done for us anyway, but we'll see you back in a few minutes for the next semi-final.
A is under attack. Point C. The enemy captured point A.
And we're back with the Guns of Boom Go4 European Finals, of course, joined by Vinno again, as usual. And that last series was quite a quick one. You know, with those two teams, we weren't too surprised that first game was quite close, just due to the fact that these two teams probably scrim each other against each other quite a lot. And it's just due to the fact that they're going to know exactly what each other get up to. So it's very, very different in that kind of circumstances. But that second game was definitely a definitely wasn't a close one.
No, not as close at all. I think it's interesting to note as well that Israel Black Bulls, this is actually like the first time they've managed to play in the finals. Like they've qualified every time, but they've never been able to like play, whereas original Black Bulls, like they have, and it shows like they're used to these like high pressure moments a lot more. They know which players they can rely on and stuff. So I think, yeah, I wasn't quite as surprised as the outcome. I did think it'd be a bit closer than it was, though, in that second matchup, and it was like Black Bulls just absolutely ran away with that, and it was a very impressive game on their behalf.
Yeah, it's just a setup towards that last half. It was great, but of course, with this second match going on, of course, we do have back-to-back we will see coming in. We spoke about before how Forza did actually lose in that other quarter-final against Elements Pro Gaming, and that's going to be a very interesting one because sometimes it's not that it's rare, but it's the fact that when you see a team who we haven't seen too much of, and then of course they've all got morale, momentum going into this, they could give back-to-back a pretty good challenge here.
Yeah, I think it will be a close game to see, especially like you say, when they've managed to take down Forza, who at the moment are like absolutely at the top of the table. They are playing some of the best games they've ever played. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see Elements and back-to-back go against each other. And
you know what's more interesting? We have the picks and bans to see exactly what's been banned and what's actually been chosen here. So Elements Pro Gaming, they've chosen Control Point on Europe Square, and with back-to-back, they've chosen Wild West Saloon, King of the Hill. I'm not too surprised about the Wild West Saloon one at all, because I always see Killing Machine bottom mid with that snipe every single time, unless the strategies have actually been changed since I last saw. So that would be quite interesting to see how things go. But of course, if it does go to 1-1, we will be seeing Control Point on Farming Complex.
I think it's quite interesting to see that it is very similar games that have been picked. Again, there's no TDM here. It's all Control Point. It's all King of the Hill. I think we've got Europe Square this time.
Now, we'll see how things go, because like I said before, Wild West Saloon, we know back-to-back are very good, but it won't be until that second map. But on Europe Square here, what do you kind of set do you expect from here in terms of exactly what's going on?
I think obviously a lot of the mayhem will be in the middle there on that main point, but it will be interesting to see the fights going on at Control A and C.
And of course, going into this now, to see exactly if back-to-back can take this series. Probably, you know, they'd assume back-to-back will take this series in terms of like being the favourites. But I'm interested to see how things will go from here. But of course, as you can see, they're back-to-back. Let's get that first kill on the board. Gets a second one as well. Fantastic play by Killing Machine there, and I spoke about him before.
A guy
and a
called
triple
KM
straight
there,
off
just
the
doing
bat.
absolutely amazing there. Even with the knife kill as well, which is always nice to see. Ended up with a quadra kill there.
Yeah, that's right. Killing Machine had a quadra kill straight off the bat, and then what a great way to start things off here for back-to-back. And we know in those kind of circumstances, especially on this map, it's very easy. It's very easy to flank around this map, so you've got, of course, bait and switch as much as you can. But with Killing Machine getting the quadra kill straight away, what a great start for them going into this first map.
Yeah, I mean, Quark there took out a guy called KM, but I think it was a little too late there. Like, a guy called KM, he'd just absolutely... He was at 162 points before he'd even been taken out there.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Of course, we did say back-to-back are a very, very strong team, especially in this European region, and already 200 points separate them going into this. Max, Mandakello Killing Machine there, and Hot Pepper managed to take him straight away, but Shrapnel now has already got a killing spree, so this is their time to at least try and make this comeback.
Elements are holding 2 of the points and going for B now as well, so it could be interesting to see if they can switch this around and actually, because that score is a lot closer now than it was a second ago.
That's right, there was a 200-point deficit, and now there's only 60 between them. It's looking very close, considering how great of a start back-to-back had. And now only 45 points here between the two. And as you can see now, back-to-back had a pretty good start, and now trying to get that middle control. But they've got to be really careful with Shrapnel. Is trying to get behind him. Managed to take out 1, managed to take out 2 there. So a nice double kill for him to try and get that back, but still managed to not get that point as of yet, but it will do in moments' time.
I think they've seen what a danger a guy called KM can be, and they have focused on him, because I continually look over and he's dead. He's not been it looks like he's been a target for Elements Pro Gaming there.
No, that's right. A guy called Cam is actually Killing Machine for anyone who actually doesn't know, and of course he did have a fantastic start there, as I recalled before, but managed to get a knife kill there. He's trying to get that mid control and mix it, trying to hold him as much as he can and just try, but Sally gets taken out, but does get the point control. Anyway, Shrapnel again with another double going into that mid. And he's got backup from Hot Pepper there in case anything does happen. But he's got so much health and armor here. He's doing just a great job just holding things on his own. But he will die here eventually to Migs, but Hot Pepper managed to get another trade of his own, of course.
It's interesting to see how they've brought the score to like 200 difference again. Like, but like the opposite way around, obviously.
Yeah, now they've had a fantastic start. Shrapnel's been doing so much work. I've seen that 3 or 4 different doubles in different scenarios. He's had a spree as well to try and make up for that quadra kill that Killing Machine had, and now it's going to be all to play for. Like you mentioned before, there's only still about 250 points between him here, and it's going to be way too close, but I'm not too sure if back-to-back can even come back at this kind of stage. But Shrapnel again with another kill there to hold that mid-control, and there's only 50 points remaining here. They need to try and get something out of this, but they can't really give away too many kills, and sadly for them, back-to-back do manage to lose, and Elements Pro Gamer with a fantastic way to finish things off, considering the bad start they had.
Yeah, it was, I mean, to say they were about 200 points behind at first, and then they've just managed to bring it back. They've got on point, they've got a few triple kills, and they've just managed to take all of the points. It really shows how important taking the points in is in control point.
I think the one thing to take into account is the fact that I feel like with Elements Pro Gaming, their bait and switching was just a lot better. You saw sometimes with back-to-back, when they tried to take back mid-control, you always get one member on their own, or they're kind of like, you know, going in one at a time and kind of get it traded quite easily. So it gives Elements Pro Gaming an easy opportunity to get their health back and bait and switch again straight afterwards. But I've spoken about it before, Killing Machine with that quadra kill straight off the bat, right at the start of the first match. You couldn't ask for the better start, and then to lose, not only lose by a small margin, but by 250 to 300 points. That's a statement, and I even said there, it's the fact that after beating Forza in that first quarter-final, they've obviously continued that momentum morale going into this. And as you can see there from the KDs, I spoke about Shrapnel a fair few times, and I'm not surprised in the slightest compared to that score. 314 points, went 14 and 5 going into that. And look on the other side, Killing Machine managed to go 10 and 8 and did a lot of work for his team. Sadly, Fraser and Migs didn't do too much, but they got a little damage done, but just didn't get the kills to follow suit. But look at the other side as well, Hot Pepper again didn't do too bad with 86 with 9 assists there. But Shrapnel 14 and 5. You don't really see many KDs like that, but
no,
he was
it's
just
very impressive. Yeah,
he just ran off with it pretty much. Just literally no holds barred.
No, not at all. I mean, it was interesting to say, like you saw with Migs just on that central point on his own. He was there for like 20 seconds. No one was there supporting him. And then I think it was Shrapnel just came in with the grenade and just finished him. No, Quark actually. Quark came in with a grenade, just finished him off. He needed that support from his team. And like you said, there were 2 spread out. And at the end there, Elements Pro Gamer, they just absolutely brought it round. They were like, right, we need to get on top of this, guys. And it showed through their gameplay. Like I say, they brought it back from 200 behind to 200 ahead at the end of that game there.
Yeah, comms, with control point, comms is very, very important just due to the fact that, you know, you've got to prioritise where you want to go first. But I think with back-to-back, we kind of saw that they were going for a couple of different points at once, and it kind of showed that in their comms, maybe they weren't prioritising certain areas, like maybe we should get C first and then go mid, etc., etc. But I feel like their strategy for going for a couple at the same time just did not work, because you saw quite a lot of Elements Pro Gamer would have 3 around middle. You saw Shrapnel always going for that point, always getting those such vital kills and trades, always getting doubles back-to-back every single time, no pun intended, and you just saw it just ran away with it completely. But now you've got to remember, with Elements Pro Gaming, that was their map pick. So of course that was their best map to go forward on, which is fair enough. But now with back-to-back, they've got Wild West Saloon. I know they're very, very good at this game type, and I know, like I mentioned before, in terms of strategies, Killing Machines always run that bottom mid, either sniping or rifling every single time without fail. So do you think like Elements Pro Gaming could end this 2-0 considering the circumstance of that last game? Because even though that was their map pick, 200 to 250 point difference, that's pretty large. Yeah,
that is it's worth noting. It's a very substantial difference, as you've said. And I think after the beginning there, how we saw Killing Machine play at the beginning of Europe Square, I think they're going to be on him. They're going to know straight away, right, this is the player we have to stop. He's the one that's going to be preventing us from getting that to that control point. So I think this will be an interesting matchup. I think it'll be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think the only difference is the fact that if back-to-back do take this, of course, they will be playing Farming Complex Control Point, and I'm not too sure what happened in that game, but I just feel like with back-to-back, they could actually take that game 3 as well, just due to the fact that they probably realised that in terms of prioritisation and what points they should go for in terms of exactly what should happen, it should be a lot easier, because we know Europe Square is a lot larger map compared to Farming Complex, and so it should make things just a little bit easier in terms of their comms, and even if they don't prioritise well, at least the points aren't too far apart compared to the ones, of course, on Europe Square. So do you feel like if back-to-back do take this game 2, do you reckon they can run away with it and take game 3, or do you reckon it will still be quite a close affair?
I think, I don't know, it's hard to call at this point.
It's hard to give you difficult questions, isn't it, I suppose? That's the great thing, though. That's what we'll find out, of course. With this West Saloon, because if it's their map pick, and I said it's one of their best game types, do you think with back-to-back it's definitely in their favour, or do you feel like Elements Pro Gaming could actually take this 2-0?
I think back-to-back could take it here. I think it'll be very close if they don't take it. I don't think it's going to be a 250-point lead like it was in the previous game.
No, I don't think it will be either. I think it will be quite a close one, but like we said before, and like I mentioned previously, it is one of the best game types, so I have to see exactly what happens. But look at that. Back-to-back, all 4 members went straight on the top of Saloon to try and get something done, but straight away, 2 members got taken down, and even then, back-to-back got another 2 trades anyway, so not too bad so far. Of course, right at the start, we saw Elements Pro Game managed to get those first 2 kills, but back-to-back basically traded straight away from then anyways.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Elements have gone straight in. They've came in, took out everyone, and they've gone straight for the control point. They've been holding it ever since so far, and it's showing in their point difference as well. At the moment, they're almost 100 points ahead, like within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. That strategy of all 4 going up top of Saloon was perfectly fine. I think that was a great way to start things off, just due to the fact that if they do have a bad start in the first fight, at least they can trade each other off anyway, which they did. But even now, no one has actually got a control point as of yet. They're just trying to slay each other out and just try and get as much damn possible before going for it. But back-to-back do try and make that attempt, but sadly for them, Elements Pro Gaming managed to take them out anyway. There's only 1 member left, but you saw there Fraser got a crucial double there, and John Wick got a trade on Shrapnel, so that was a great way to end things off in that little scrap.
Yeah, it's quite surprising to see Killer Machine coming and running in. Usually, as he is now, he stands back, he takes out some of the players from afar. But so far, he's been running into that control point, and that was a nice grenade kill from him there on Shrapnel.
Yeah, it was any time to throw a perfect grenade. It was definitely that time, but still doing a good job holding it. They're not back-to-back aren't too far behind now. They're still 40 points clear in comparison, and slowly but surely they're closing that gap. That's right, yeah, and you saw there Fraser with a nice double there, but Quark and Shrapnel managed to get another trade of their own, so they're about to get that control point back, but as you can see there, sadly gets taken down by Gonza, and Jordan managed to get another one for themselves here, but still very aggressive play from Elements Pro Gaming here.
The enemy captured point A.
Yeah, of course.
See, as you can see now, Shrapnel trying to get that nade in, hopefully to get some decent damage done, but doesn't find any damage at all with that nade. But Maxa with a nice double of his own, just try and go for a third, but sadly doesn't, but quite there managed to finish him off anyway. And Fraser, a great kill there just to try and get a control point, and not really too much left in it now. So far, only 10 points separate them, and you were perfectly right here when you said that this could be a very close affair, and it is, and considering how this is back-to-back's map pick.
Yep, I think it's interesting to see as well. Killer Machine is doing what we predicted he would in the original. He's standing back. He's got that Barracuda out, switching between the Odin as people get closer. I think it's really helping them, and they're just slightly starting to take the lead now.
Yeah, that's one of the talking points as well. I mentioned right at the start that you normally will see with that Barracuda at the bottom mid, making sure to keep them on spawn, but Elements know this. They know just to go straight on top of the Saloon and at least get a clear view of Killing Machine there, which they did, and now they increase the lead further and further. Shrapnel with another kill on Killing Machine to stop him from actually getting that bottom mid control, but as you can see now, back-to-back are trying to get on top of that Saloon to see if they can at least clear everything up, but it's just not the case. It seems like Elements are just doing such a great job just holding them back, and there's not really too many points remaining here. 75 left, 50 left now, and we could be soon another upset. Could be seeing back-to-back here lose 2-0.
I think it's looking, yeah.
Pretty much to say the least, and again another surprise. That was back-to-back's map pick, and again the score really separated. And I said it before in that quarterfinal, was the fact that they managed to take out 4's event, And then they come into this now, they've got all the morale momentum they need. And with Guns of Boom, you see that quite a lot. Even though you see a team which you don't see too much of, if they get that momentum from that one team they've beaten, who's obviously very high up there, especially one of the qualifying teams, they can just take through the whole thing. So I've been very impressed by Elements so far.
Yeah, Element of really, really, like, they've been so on point. No pun intended. They've played like a great team. You know, you can tell you could tell there was some good, as you said earlier, some good comms coming out there. Like, they all knew what they were doing. They were very organised. They were picking people off, and they were just keeping that point under their control. And I expected it to be a bit closer than it was. I think they ran away with it a bit more than I expected them to there. They played very well.
Yeah, they closed the gap like as much as they could, but at some stage, Elements just had such a great job of covering every angle, having plenty of angles to shoot from as well, because you saw the start strategy of back-to-back was have all four go up on Saloon, and even if a couple of them die and it doesn't work out, they can basically just take that risk and go for the trades anyway, so it didn't really matter too much. But obviously it's a massive stats here. Even though back-to-back did lose, they got Killing Machine who went 16 and 8, but had 11 assists on top of that, and even though John Wick went 4 and 10, he had 17 assists, which is some crazy stuff. And Elements, if we look to the other side, very, very even stats, of course, with Quarterfinal going 13 and 11 with 9 assists. And even with the, at the bottom of the table with Max, still went 9 and 10 with 10 assists. They all did a fantastic job, very evenly matched. And it's like I mentioned before, even though John Wick went 4 and 10, 17 assists is nothing to keep away from. It just shows they did all the damage he could. And of course, Killing Machine and Fraser just doing a great job, just cleaning all those kills up and making sure to try and keep them back as much as they could. But you saw from there, but it was just very difficult for back-to-back to come back from, especially in that last third of the game.
I think this shows, like I said in the previous matchup as well, it doesn't always work out when you rely on your better players. I mean, obviously, as we saw last time, Black Bull had their strong players and they were relying on them, and Romeo was running away with it and it got them the win. But this time, Elements Pro were working more as a team. They were all evenly getting kills. I mean, the minimum we see here is 8 kills as opposed to John Wick's 4, which is, again, as you say, John Wick with the 17 assists. It's nothing to turn your nose up at. It's a very good play, but I think it's interesting to see that Elements Pro Gaming are a lot more even on their points.
Yeah, that's right. Elements beating back-to-back on both game types, on both maps, by 200 points. That's a statement, I think, more than anything. If it was both very, very close, then that would have been understandable, but it is definitely a statement to say you're beaten by 200 points on a game time like that, and especially on their map pick as well as their own. It's like just crazy stuff.
They very much, they came in, they said, we are here, we are taking this, these are our games. We are Elements. This is going to be ours. Yeah,
I'm just quite surprised in all fairness, but it's great to see. You know, I do like a good upset now and again, but it's one of those kind of situations. But we do have a bracket update to show exactly what's been going on through the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. So of course now in the quarterfinals there's a 2-0 sweep all across the board, and with Elements Pro Gaming beating Forza, definitely a big one to speak about. And looking in the semi-finals, of course, Black Bulls beat the Israel Black Bulls team 2-0. And then again, another interesting one with Elements Pro Gaming beating back-to-back, as we just saw there, 2-0. So we will see Black Bulls play against Element Pro Gaming in that final, and Israel Black Bulls will be playing back-to-back for that third place playoff. Now, we've seen what Elements can do. We didn't obviously see the quarterfinals, but we saw that semi-final, and I mentioned before, they really showed up today and has done such a great job. Do you think they could take this entire thing?
I very much think that's the case. I think with the way they've been playing today, like the absolute teamwork between Elements, I think it's, at the moment, it's Black Bull's game to lose. Like, I think Elements could absolutely run away with this and just take it all. I think it will be a very good match to watch. It's going to be so close. Yeah,
no, it will be. I think the only way they can even trying to contemplate anything is the fact that you see that control points in Kingdom Hill, the objective game times, it seems like Elements are very, very strong on. But in terms of stats, in terms of the kills, everything like that, they still go a little bit negative compared to the others, but they're so good at objective, it doesn't really matter too much. Of course, we know the kills and the sprees and everything like that, and the multi-kills go towards the points, but it didn't really seem to happen too much. But do you feel like TDM could probably work more in Black Bull's favour against them?
I think that's a very interesting thing to bring up. Like you say, with them being so good at controlling the point, if Black Bulls have seen this and they've gone, okay, we really need to find a weakness for them, that could be a very good strategy to go, right, we can pick some wins here and make sure that this map is in our favour. So I think, if Black Bulls were to pick a TDM, that would definitely go in their favour for this game.
Yeah, because I feel like now the objective game types, like they seem to be so strong and they're not really too sure which map they should choose. So do you feel like TDM could actually work more in their favour now, just due to the fact that obviously with the objective being out to play, it might be also the map choices as well, which may help Black Bulls even further?
Yeah, I think Black Bulls are they're a lot more aggressive than Elements are. So I think a TDM for Black Bulls is definitely the way to go. I don't want to say they should, but I think they should.
I would personally, like,
yeah,
definitely.
That would be my strategy. I'd be watching them. I'd say they are so good at taking the points, but they don't, like you say, they don't seem to be going for the kills as much. So I do think, yeah, that should be their strategy. That should be what they'd go for on their pick.
And it'll be interesting to see, of course, we have got those matches coming up soon, but we're just going to have a quick break and we'll get on with next 2 series soon.
Capture point B. Point B captured.
And welcome back to the Guns of Boom Go4 European Finals. Of course, I've got Vinno here still with me, and we have two very good series so far. The last one especially is a little bit of an upset, but of course, we do have that third place playoff now between Israel Black Bulls and back-to-back. Now, tell me what you think considering the circumstance of that last series, because normally you'd think, well, with back-to-back, they should take this third place playoff, but after the way they were playing, do you feel like it just wasn't their day, or do you feel like Elements is just literally just charging in so far?
I think, yeah, I think Element have just done so incredibly well that you can't just write them out at this point. I think it's anyone's game to take at this point in time. I think back-to-back have done, maybe it's not their best day, but Elements are definitely, they've been playing well. I think they'll be good to watch.
Yeah, I think both teams have been playing well. It's just the fact that Elements are just basically just on top of things today, just on top form. But yeah, of course, we do have Israel Black Bulls versus back-to-back now. And with that in mind, do you feel like back-to-back should be okay coming into this after that loss? Because, of course, Israel Black Bulls won't be too happy losing to their counterparts, considering they're going into the grand final. So it's not really saying they would want to see it in all fairness. But how do you feel like this series is going to pan out in terms of this third place playoff? Do you feel like back-to-back can, shake things off after what happened in that last series? Or do you feel like Israel Black Bulls can probably put up a better fight and maybe even take this?
I think, yeah, like you say, it's back-to-back. I think they may, like you say, maybe they've not been playing their best today, but Black Bulls, like you say, they played their counterpart. It shook them up a little bit. So I don't know how this is going to go, but I think Black Bulls are probably going to take it, in my opinion. I think they have been playing slightly stronger than back-to-back had been. So I'm not sure how it's going to go, but in my opinion, I think Black Bulls are going to take it. That's my prediction for the game.
Yeah, it's going to be depending on the mans and the map picks I've spoken about before, and we will have the map picks here to show exactly what's going to be happening. And now we spoke about Old Factory before, which is now in the map pool. So we have TDM on Old Factory and Military Warehouse TDM as well for back-to-back. And the Israel Black Bulls, we've got control point on Farming Complex and control point on Europe Squares. So funny enough, it seems like both of them prefer the one set of game times, but of course the different maps. Do you feel like that's more because of the fact that with players like Killing Machine and John Wick on that back-to-back squad, they just have such a strong, in terms of like the KD and things like that, they've got strong opposition in terms of that slaying ability. Do you think that's why they've actually chosen the TDM game types in comparison to your objective ones? Yeah,
absolutely. I think if you don't take advantage of some of your best players' strengths, then that's just daft. Like, you really should. Like, if I had Killer Machine on my team, I'd want some team deathmatches thrown in there as well.
I think I would as well. If it's getting like a 2.0 KD, I'll be like, yeah, I think TDN's probably more worth it to say the least. But of course, Israel Black Bulls know this, and I think they can tell, which is why they've strictly gone for those objective game types. And if it does go to that game 5, it will be King of the Hill on Subway Station, which it's going to be a very odd one to say the least on that map, because there's so many different ways to try and get that bottom mid control. But a lot of the fight on the carriages and around the outside, it's, there's so many different situations, scenarios you can put yourself in. It's going to be quite crazy stuff. But with the Old Factory on Team Deathmatch, I want to see exactly what kind of setup back-to-back have to try and go into this. But now that you've seen the map picks and the bans and the game type which both teams are playing, do you reckon this could go all the way to a game 5, or do you reckon it could be one-sided compared to the other? Because I think it could possibly go all the way, because you can tell they've chosen the game types they prefer, but it could obviously go down to that Subway Station King and Hill game.
I kind of hope it does, because Subway Stations, it's not, obviously we were saying earlier, Paradise Islands is my favourite, but that's one of my favourites. I really enjoy watching that one. Like you say, there's some good elevated sniper points, so I kind of hope it does.
It sounds like you've got about 10 favourites. No. To say the least. But to be fair, actually, with Subway Station, it's of course one of my favourites as well. I did say Paradise Island is one of mine as well, but I think it's just the King and Hill game types, because, with Guns of Boom, I'm just glad they put the King and the Hill objective game type just back in general, because you don't really see it on many other titles, but on this one, it's just nice to see it back, but we may not see it unless it goes to that game 5, so we will go straight into this with Old Factory Team Deathmatch.
Both playing very defensively at the moment. No one's wanting to go near each other, but D2D there with the first kill.
Yeah, now it is the kind of circumstances you expect on Old Factory. In this kind of scenario, you always wait for them to go for the first kill, but look at that. The Black Bulls team straight away, all three of them went around that one side just so they can bait and switch so well. Kind of what we expected. You don't really see many of these players going on top of the map or anything like that, but Killing Machine there with straight away with a triple kill. He seems to be one of those players where, you know, right off the start, you know, people try and slowly get into things, but Killing Machine's just like, nope, I'm having another bat, I'm going straight
away.
Exactly, he's just going straight in a fantastic triple. But saying that as well, Doran gets a double of his own and Mix also gets a double, so a lot of multi-fragging potential here.
I think, yeah, Mix, obviously he didn't get too many kills on the control points. He was focusing too hard on the control points, so it'll be nice here to see how he focuses when he is just straight up kill, kill, kill.
Oh, and you saw that as well, that grenade kill from Armace there. Most of the members of Back to Back were sticking together as a trio, and that grenade kill and the splash damage got him all straight away. And as you see, the Killing Machine was trying to stay alive. Sadly, he doesn't. Spleen managed to trade off of him after Killing Machine killed Duran there. But the teamwork so far has been so much better, but you can see now Back to Back are trying to go for the more of the angles now. John Wick comes from behind it, as you can see, gets a fantastic damage dealt coming from behind, and it's quite hard to say because sometimes you see a lot of these players who are sticking together as a trio or as a four going around parts of the map, but I love how John Wick is just changing things up a little bit, trying to get an additional angle to get damage done, so it keeps Black Bulls guessing where they could be.
I think it's good to see them slowly poking around, trying to make Killing Machine there, just in the middle of a couple of red players, a couple of Black Bulls players. He did not care. He is getting those kills.
And that's why he's a machine, mate. He literally will just go straight in and have absolutely no holds barred. And that's what I like about Killing Machine as well. He's very, very aggressive, has no fear, and that's the confidence you kind of need. And as you can see now, 3 members of Black Bull are stuck in this one side, but Back to Back did actually have the upper hand, and they had the angles and the high control as well, but didn't really take advantage of that at all. I think he got a little bit scared, but Mix here does try and take out one more player, but sadly for him, does get taken out. Spleen must get that trade on Mix there, but Fraser now is just going to push straight in, like I said, with that scout to try and get a little bit more speed around the map to try and keep him guessing where they could be. But so far, Black Bulls, their teamwork and the amount they're sticking together is doing so well, and Spleen with a double and a killing spree there just to add insult to injury.
I think, yeah, Black Bulls have managed to, I mean, this is one of the closest matches we've seen so far, and Black Bulls are managing to just to stay ahead there. But I think Killing Machine, he could really bring it round for Back to Back if he has the support of his team there. But again, as I said earlier, like Migs, now he's not on a control point. Now he is just trying to go for the kills. He is doing a lot better in this game.
Yeah, getting that damage done really well. It's multiple different things here with Back to Back. Of course, we know that John Wick has been getting so many different angles, flanking round, doing such a great job there, but the point difference was so close. It's 396 to 394 there, but now Back to Back are just going away with it so far. There's only 20 points left here. John Wick and Killing Machine must get a trade of their own, but Armace managed to get another one on Fraser here, and it's only too much left. Armace managed to get a double to keep him in it, and Mix managed to get that 1 kill. So there's only 1 kill left for Back to Back here to try and finish this up. And Black Bulls Novus, look at this now, 3 of them on that right side, hoping to try and get some decent grenade damage done, get some splash damage done here, but they know that 1 death hit could really cost them. But sadly for them, 1 member of Black Bulls did push in between 4 members of Back to Back there, but very good way of trying to get that comeback here. But Back to Back managed to get that clean at the end. Yeah,
I think they should have stayed as the team. I think as soon as he split off there and went on his own, that was it. It was their game then. They only needed to take out 1 player, whereas, you know, the Black Bulls, they needed to take out at least a few of theirs to get that, and they needed them multipliers to help bring it around. They couldn't have just individually killed people there. They needed them individual frags. Built-up combo frag, sorry.
No, it's very, very difficult to say with this. I think right at the very end, like I want to mention before, is the fact that the only way you can kind of split them up like that is have a little bit of height advantage as well. I don't think Black Bulls expected all 4 members to be on their side of the map around the same area as well. If maybe Black Bulls had maybe 1 or 2 members on top, so at least that way get some damage done, back off, heal up, and get the other 2 to try and at least flank or try and do a bit of bait and switching game, and that's perfectly fine. But then again, if you've got 4 members like that, they're just going to all look at you and take you down. But a few of the talking points there as well. Of course, we had Killing Machine who got a triple kill right at the start, which really helped him through. Black Bulls was making that comeback, but when you've got members like John Wicks getting additional angles, especially on maps like Old Factory, where it's very difficult to flank, he did a fantastic job. But looking at the KDs now, Back to Back Mix, sorry, going 13 and 8 there. Great start from him, and of course the rest of the board is very, very similar. And look at the opposite side, Black Bull still, again, in terms of KD, very, very similar. Nothing really too much to point out apart from Armace with the additional points compared to the rest of the team. And so far he did. He kept him in it at that very last point. You saw that he did get that double to try and keep the score at bay and keep it as close as possible. But just wasn't to be, especially to run into 4 members at once.
Yeah, it was a shame as well. Like, the Spleen played very, very well there. Like, he had a couple of killing sprees. He had some good grenade kills there, and it's a shame that they didn't take it. But back to back, they managed to bring it round there. Like you say, John Wick was fragging round, flanking. And he was making sure he knew where everyone was, and it worked for back to back. They managed to like take it in the end there. Like you say, Black Bulls had just managed to keep ahead a little bit throughout the whole thing, but they couldn't keep it back to back at the end there. And as you saw, Mix with the 13 kills there, very impressive.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. We didn't really see too much of him. Most of the time he was just getting the damage dealt from rifle to rifle, whether the Odin or anything like that. But it just seemed to me that with John Wick getting those flanks in, with Old Factory, it's very, very difficult to get those flanks in sometimes, just due to the fact that there's only a couple of ways you can actually get around them and see what we can do. But of course, that was back-to-back's map pick now. But now we're going to a map which of course favours Black Bulls. We're going to have to see on UX Square how well they can actually do this. We know that in terms of objective game types, back-to-back lost by about 2 to 250 points last time against Element. So we'll have to see if they are actually still okay and can recover from that, or of course it's just the fact that Elements did such a great job against them. But we'll see how this pans through. But straight away, Killing Machine with that first kill and Spleen with that double to counteract it.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting to see
Point B captured.
they went for A and C. No one initially went for B. Back to back went straight for C, and then Black Bulls went for A, and then back to back came into B then to try and take that point.
I like that. That's very unorthodox as well, because it's very easy just to go for your own point on A or C side and then go straight for the middle. But I think they've done that just to kind of change things up a bit and just put them off guard. But it's worked. Look at the score difference so far. 150, nearly 200 now in favour of back-to-back. And I think they realised as well, I spoke about that last series which back-to-back was involved in against Elements, is the fact that they need to sort out their prioritisation. They need to sort out exactly where they want to go, how they want to do it, and when. And it seems like they've managed to fix it a lot more. And it seems like even now, nearly 300-point difference compared to these two teams. And this is Black Bull's map pick, like I mentioned before, so they really need to step things up and change how they're playing at this stage.
I'm really hoping that Migs doesn't go out and try and take points on his own like he did in the last one. I think that was definitely a weakness for back-to-back, so hopefully he plays a bit more better with his team this time on the control points.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he will. These teams normally fix their mistakes very easily at a rapid rate, and you saw there Armace with that double, but John Wick managed to get one of his own. Armace gets another one here. We spoke about this guy quite a lot with that Porcupine. He's just doing such a fantastic job here, but so far, a couple of members are dead already for back-to-back, so this is their chance for Black Bulls to try and get something done, but sadly it's not. But Pedox here with a nice double of his own and almost gets that triple, but Armace managed to finish off the job anyway, and they're trying to clean up Migs, as you can see there.
But Migs comes in with a double kill there and a knife kill at the end. That's a very impressive. It's not easy getting knife kills in this game, so it's impressive to see that, especially when he had the other team against him there.
And if anyone doesn't know, of course, if you do get that knife kill, that's a booster kill, you will get those extra points to at least help out with the score here. But look at the difference now. Black Bulls has now overtaken them. They've done such a great job baiting and switching around this side. All 3 control points captured now. And now it's back-to-back's turn to try and figure out a way to at least try and capitalize on this. And you saw there, it was a trade from both teams, so both players from Armace and Killing Machine there. But you see now they're trying to do the best they can, but look at that. All the members of Black Bulls came from 3 different angles to get that middle point controlled again. But as long as they get hold of B and keep with that A side, they should be okay going into this.
I think back-to-back are probably having flashbacks now
of that last series. Yeah, I'm not surprised, because they were actually slightly ahead as well, but now things have changed. Gonzo gets a kill, John Wick with a double of his own, and this is their opportunity, but they're worried because of the fact that they know the middle point is one of the hardest to control, and they know if they leave it in any way and leave one behind, there's not really so much they can do. But there's only 65 points left, and back-to-back need to step things up, get these kills on board, get these sprees if they can, but it doesn't look like it's the case. 3 points left remaining, and Black Bulls will take that by 100 points, so very interesting in keeping their roundup.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't sure how that was going to go. I thought back to back would be like, oh, we lost this by like 250 points last time. We really need to change up our tactic. And it seemed like they were at first. It seemed like that's what they were doing. But then Black Bulls just came around and they managed to take it back again. And it was their pick. They knew what they were doing, and it showed that that was their strong map.
Yeah, I didn't really expect that in all fairness. When you've got like 300 to 350 point difference on a map like that, it's very, very difficult to take charge and try and make that comeback. But you saw what Black Bulls were doing there. They were flanking from 3 different angles every single time. They weren't baiting and switching as much, but the best fit was the fact that they were always close enough to do that if it ever got to that point. And you saw it actually worked for them. So maybe for back-to-back, this isn't one of their best game types. And we've got to remember, maybe Black Bulls saw that last series and realised that maybe back-to-back aren't very good at Europe Square and just decided to actually give it a try for themselves to see if they can capitalise and bring this game back, which they have done.
I think that if that wasn't what they'd done, that was an accidentally smart move. But I think you're right. I think that's probably what they did. I think they saw them and they were like, right, we can take this. This can be our game.
Yeah, 'cause it's very hard to trip cap all 3 points, and we spoke about it before, because with the respawn cycle and all those bits and pieces with the immunity, it's very hard to get all 3. But for them to do that, they must have some serious fragging power, and they had, as you can see there straight off the bat, the Spleen 14 and 7 going into that fantastic play from here. We didn't stop talking about him throughout the entire game. And on the opposite side with back-to-back, all the slaying power, all the Kellys are roughly the same, apart from the points from Migs, which he went head first straight in every single time. So great plays from both teams, but Spleen in particular with that 2-0 KD and with the points as well to follow up. Very, very impressive stuff there.
He had a nice couple of grenade kills there as well, which I always appreciate.
No, he definitely did. Of course, when you know those points, you've got 2 or 3 of your opponents in there. It's a great way to get all that splash damage done. And you saw he did it a couple of times as well. That's why they got so far ahead at that stage, because they managed to catch one of those grenades in so many different areas. Maybe should have only 1 or 2 and have one guy just to keep him at bay, so at least if they get the point back, and then even if they all die, at least it gives Black Bulls a chance to at least try and get that back anyway. So that was a great way to start things off. Of course, it will be back-to-back map pick next on the next TDM map, which we'll go through shortly. And now, do you feel like with back-to-back now, they need to win these 2 TDM game types? They won the first one, but now they've got to win this second one. But after what you saw from that last game, do you reckon they can make any kind of impact on Military Warehouse? Because even then, that last TDM match they played against on Old Factory was very, very close.
It was. And I think especially like with the Spleen, like his kill to death in that last match, and that's what you need in TDM. You need that that good kill to death, which he had. So I think it was going to be. He's going to be the one to watch in this.
Definitely. If there's any time you want a good KD Vino, it is definitely on this game type. Of course, we will be going to this next team deathmatch game. Of course, we'll see if Spleen can carry on from where he's left off in that last game. Of course, went 14 and 7, did a fantastic play, but we'll see if they can capitalise going into this next map.
Pelux there with a grenade kill against Killing Machine. First blood of the game.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. Gonzo did get a kill there. Migs managed to trade with Arms Ace there. Pelux gets another trade on Migs to try and counter things through. But there's a lot more space on this map, so we're going to see a lot more different things. Spleen there goes straight in on Fraser, sadly for him. And of course, Killing Machine does get a trade on straight afterwards. It's very, very even in terms of how they're actually panning things out. But now, only 2 points separated. We knew this game type was going to be very close going into this, and so far from what we're seeing, there's not really too much surprise. And as you saw there, Gonzo was trying to hide in that corner to get the first shot, but sadly for him, still gets taken down. Fraser with a lovely double there to keep him at bay.
I thought Spleen was going to be the one to watch for this match, but Pelux is just cleaning up shop right now.
Yeah, he's a bit of a menace to society, you could say. Armace now does manage to get a nice grenade kill on Killing Machine there, but Gonzo now just trying to hide back as much as he can. He noticed 2 members in front of him, not too much he could have done, but he got a fantastic grenade kill by Pelux there. But even now, the trades have been very similar. Not too many multi-kills or killing sprees from what I've seen from either team. It's just been consistent trades, but because it's a bit more open, it's very easy to do so.
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, we're seeing Black Bulls are utilising those grenades, and back-to-back just aren't. I think that's worth noting as well, how important grenades are in these games.
Yeah, it's definitely worth noting. Black Bulls are slowly going away with this, as you can see now. 52 points separates both teams, and that's quite a lot for a TDM game as well. And it's going to be very difficult for back-to-back to try and at least pull this through. But we've seen them do it before, and there's definitely a chance they'll do it again anyway. They just got to be a little bit more careful in terms of how they're going to bait and switch on certain parts of the map, and especially flanking as well. We've got members like John Wick, who did such a great job in that old factory game flanking earlier. If he can just do it again, then he'll do okay. But Migs now with a killing spree, exactly what they needed to help him close the gap.
Yeah, it's just a shame the spleen there had to come and put an end to it, put an end to the killing spree.
Destroying the hopes and dreams, you could say, for the members on back-to-back. But I think you see now that Gonza just going to wait for that first shot to try and go in, which he does. Fantastic kill by him. Migs managed to get another one in his zone, so that's 3 members down on either team. And it looks like, as you can see here, they're just on ace now, just waiting for the members of back-to-back to pull through. But all 4 members are going around that right side, so this will be a good opportunity for Armaze to come from behind, but he doesn't know as of yet, hasn't really got too much health, but managed to get a kill on Migs anyway. 3 members down for Black Bulls, and back-to-back, you saw there, all 4 of them went around that right side, separated a little bit, managed to get away with it anyway.
Killing Machine really showing his prowess on the team deathmatch here again.
Yeah, he really is. You can see from the scores now, Killing Machine really stepping things up here. We know he's one of the top fraggers in this game, as you saw. Yeah, they're closing their gap a little bit slowly but surely, but they haven't really got much time left. It's now 49 points between the two. It's been very similar, but now, as you can see now, Black Bulls managed to get 3 kills there and not too much trades happening. And it looks like Black Bulls will be taking this 3rd game and potentially making it 2-1.
Yeah, for sure. I think unless Killer Machine just pulls something out now with a load of multiple kills, then no, not when Pelox is playing like that.
Yeah, he managed a great shotgun, managed to stab him in the end as well, straight afterwards. Fantastic job there on back-to-backs, game type and map pick as well.
Yes.
Which is quite surprising, I think, because we spoke about before in that last game, even on Europe Square on the control points, it's more an objective-based game type. Sometimes people's KDs can be a little bit different compared to TDMs, but you saw that they still completely went off and managed to control that gap, because we see back-to-back kind of close the gap quite well, especially on a map like that. It's quite open, but very easy to bait and switch and trade off, but this literally just wasn't to be.
No, it was, I think, again, you saw some of the strong players there. Like, I know Killer Machine is very good on those type of maps, but even he wasn't enough to carry it there. Like, and Pelox did surprisingly well. Like, some of the, like, I think, again, he had a couple of grenade kills. There was a couple of knives as well. There was a couple of butchered kills there. He did so incredibly impressive on that map.
Yeah, Pelox really helped him get into it, and Doran as well. We haven't seen too much of him. He's normally been playing quite standing and quite average like most players do, but he really stepped things up in this game, and it's actually Spleen going to do as well compared to the others. But that's the great thing about this, is the fact that these members on the Israel Black Bulls team is the fact that if one person doesn't do as well, the other will make up for it. So they all take turns stealing the limelight, you could say. But going into the stats anyway, as you can see, Doran I spoke about before, 11 and 7, but not only did he have one of the best KDs, he also had 12 assists to complement that, which is some crazy stuff. And on the opposite side, as usual, doesn't surprise me too much, Killing Machine going 10 and 9 with the most points. And sadly for Fraser, even though he went 3 and 7, he did have 8 assists. So again, it's like I mentioned before, even though Spleen went 5 and 9 and didn't do as well as the rest of the members of the team, sometimes you may have good stats going into objective game types, but with TDM it can be a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and that was just showed there. Obviously, I genuinely thought he was going to be one to watch there with his K to D on Europe Square. I thought, no, this is going to be his game, and I was wrong. I was so incredibly wrong.
This is it. And of course, you know, we spoke about Subway Station, King and Hill being that 5th game, you know, one of our favourites.
Yeah.
It could happen, you never know, but back-to-back will have to take off the game type from Black Bulls, which will be control point on Farming Complex, which will be quite an interesting one. Can give you quite a messy one as well, but one thing I mentioned in the past after the Europe Square game was the fact that it seems like back-to-back aren't very good at control point maps, which are like quite spread out, because you can see that Black Bulls knew that from that last series and took advantage of it. But now with Farming Complex a lot more closer compared to the rest of the points, we might see a different style of how things will be played out.
I think, yeah, because they can afford to be a lot more aggressive with it, because they're so close to each other. As you've said before, they can run in, bam, 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 run to C. And I'm very much looking forward to see how back-to-back go, right, guys, we didn't do so good on Europe Square, we've got to change up. Or if they continue to go aggressive because they know it's a different type where the points are closer together.
Yeah, because of course it means quite a lot in that kind of retrospect, because I know back-to-back are actually quite good on Subway King of the Hill anyway, so they'll feel like we take this game 4, we've got a good chance of taking it all the way to a game 5 and winning this 3-2. But of course, Black Bulls have chose this for a reason. They might know something we don't know about back-to-back in terms of just control point, just not being their best objective. That's why they haven't chosen any of the King of the Hill game types either, which kind of makes a little bit of sense. And you know, they had the opportunity, but of course they banned Skyscrapers on TDM earlier, just they knew for the fact that back-to-back are very good at this. And while West Saloon, I love how they banned that earlier, just due to the fact that they know how good at that game type they are. But then again, they did lose on it earlier, so it might just be the fact that they're not having the greatest of days. But of course, if back-to-back do want to stay in this matchup, they will need to win control point on Farming Complex. But do you reckon they've got what it takes to take this to a game 5?
I think back-to-back are going to surprise us here. I think they've got what it takes.
Yeah, it's just, you know, they've got the fragging power of all the members on this team, and they've got the amount of power they have to actually flank and get that damage done. They've got all the tools and ingredients they need to actually try and win. It's just a matter of how things will pan out and how I'm always just interested to see what the communication's like. You know, we talk about their priority and how they should do things. You can tell that their priority wasn't really that great in that last game time. Even though they would all go the same side or go to the same parts of the map at the same time, they all seem to be quite separated. So in terms of sticking together, this is one of the things I'll need to do, especially on this map.
Yeah, for sure.
So as you can see here, straight away managed to get 2 points taken without not too much contention, but Dorian gets a double and managed to get 3, I think, or maybe just been a double from that first kill. So great start from him. Of course, he's carrying over from that last game to make sure to keep him in it, and Duran now's going to see if he can get anyone with that snipe coming from spawn. He will notice it straight off the bat, and he's trying to back off as much as he can now. But as you see so far, back-to-back are actually getting a little bit more map control, trying to take that A side.
They are, but back-to-back, Black Bulls taking out all of back-to-back there straight at the beginning. That really helped them. That helped them get every single point straight off the bat, and that shows there's like almost a 250-point lead right now.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. Like the kills and the fragging power has definitely gone at Black Bull's side, and you saw you always have 3 members going for each of these points each time, just due to the fact that they can get away with it. The map at this stage, they knew they were going for the side on C, but due to that, they knew they can get away with that kind of circumstances. But already a 300-point difference, but I'm not going to take out anything because we've seen this happen before, and back-to-back made that comeback to at least close that gap and almost win on the last series of that UF Squares. So even though there's a large difference here, I wouldn't come out just yet, but back-to-back need to fix this baiting and switching and sticking together, going these different routes, because I feel like now it's one of their downfalls here.
Yeah. I think Doran as well, when you see him on a point, he's dangerous. You don't want to run at him when he's on a point.
Nah, definitely not. You see him like with his sniping and his porcupine earlier, he's doing a fantastic job just keeping it at bay. Migs with a double there, and arms race to kill Killing Machine off with that frag grenade there. It was a nice play by him, but the gap has been closed out. 160 separates to 2. I mentioned before, it was about 350, so this is back-to-back's time to at least try and stop any more bits from happening, but Killing Machine there with a crucial double there to keep him in this, closing the gap further and further, making sure they can get these points. But Duran there is getting that A point there, managed to get some damage down there with Pilox, of course, finish things off, and Migs getting that trade there.
Yep, I think back-to-back, they're starting to realise what they've got to do. They keep taking 2 of the points, and they're bringing it back. They're not as far behind as they were before.
No, they weren't. No, they have closed it, but it seems to be stabilised at this stage. They need to make sure they at least get... They may even have to get 3 of these control points here just to even stand a chance, because, you know, it's going to struggle here. There's not really too much time remaining, and they need to try and fix out exactly what's going on, or at least try and get some multi-kills and sprees to try and finish things off. But again, I'm seeing the same stuff. They're going in one at a time. You saw the last member, Migs, get taken out because he was on his own, and now John Wick's on his own again. But Gonza does manage to get that crucial trade, but it could be a little bit too late here. You look at the point difference so far, and look at and see that all 3 control points were almost in Black Bull's favour.
I sometimes see that, like, back-to-back, like Gonzo did just then. He runs onto the point, he takes the person out. Instead of trying to take the point, he just runs off of it and goes for that next frag, which is a shame because it could really, like, change the turn the tide of the game if they were to stay on that point and just take it. Because there's a couple of times there I've been like, oh, you could have took that, but they didn't. And I wonder why. I don't know why they don't.
Yeah, no, it's quite strange. Of course, with that map pick, it seems to be more the game type more than anything. I don't think back-to-back just having a greatest of days, but of course, Black Bulls do manage to take that 3-1 overall. And, you know, you would have thought that maybe because it's a little bit smaller compared to Europe Square, it would have made a little bit of a difference. But it seems like, I don't think it's just the game type or anything like that. It's more due to the fact that you saw there that they were always quite separated, even towards the end. You know, you saw Mix going in on his own, and then John Wick went on his own straight afterwards, and then eventually Gonza did manage to clean them up, but it was way too late. Two of his members already died by then. So if you're going to go in on your own, separating yourself way too much, it's just not going to work. You're basically running into 3 members minimum of Black Bulls every time they win to one of those control points. And that's what happened right at the start. But back-to-back managed to fix things up a little bit, but by then it was just a little bit too little too late. And even towards the end, they kind of went back to the old roots and making some of those simple mistakes again.
I think as well, if you run into, even if it's 1v1, if you run into Doran and that Porcupine, then that's it. Your day's coming to an end.
Pretty much,
He cleans up shop with that thing. He knows what he's doing with it.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much they could have done in all fairness. And as you can see there, from the stats, Doran goes 9-5. You saw him sniping, keeping him back at bay on spawn. He's done some fantastic job. Most of the stats very, very similar. Migs, on you see on back-to-back went 11-8 with 9 assists with fantastic scoreline as well. But it just wasn't to be. And I don't think the stats really mattered too much. It's just their style of play and how they're going into things. But yeah, 267 gap, that is quite huge.
It's definitely substantial. It was at the end there as well, because all the way through it was probably around 100 gap. It wasn't as big, but at the end there they just managed to run away with it. I didn't realise they were going to run away with it as much as they did there.
No, I didn't expect that.
It's quite impressive how much Black Bulls did just go, no, this is our game, we're taking this.
Yeah, because there's a 350 gap and there's a 100 gap halfway through. That's because they managed to fix their mistakes. They managed to gel a bit more together. They was able to go for those points as duos and trios rather than going separately at the same time. But then they started wandering off a little bit more and kind of went in their own like a lone wolf a little bit too many times. And of course, if you're running into 3 different players, you're pretty much asking to die really in that fairness, which is completely understandable, which is a shame. But of course, with Black Bulls taking that, it's going to make more of a struggle for back-to-back now, because it's not going to be their best of placings, but top 4 is still something to say.
Yeah, I think, like we say, it was just a shame that, like you say, the likes of Gonzo, when he runs onto the point and he gets to the frag, and that's great. You've got yourself a bit of points there, but you're just running off straight away. You can't, in a game like this, it is about the team and having your team behind you, and you can't run off on like a lone wolf. It's not going to work, and it never will.
Yeah, this is one of those situations, but at least they'll look back and it's managed to fix exactly what's going on anyway. But we will be going for a short break. We do have the final coming up next between Elements Pro Gaming and Black Bulls, so we'll have to see what the outcome is in a few minutes. And welcome back to the Guns of Boom Go4 European Finals. And of course, Vino's still with me. And speaking of finals, it is the finals time of the European side. So we're going to see a very, very good series here. I'm very interested to see how this all is going to pan out. But how do you think it's going to pan out before seeing the picks and bans going into this? Because we've seen Elements Pro Gaming, they've had a very, very good bracket so far going into this. As you can see now, they 2-0'd Forza straight after that in their quarterfinals. In the semi-finals, they took back-to-back down 2-0, and now they will be playing against Black Bulls. But one thing to remember is the fact that Black Bulls have also had a clean sweep going into the final as well.
I think, obviously, Black Bulls Israel did very good against back-to-back there, but then you've got to appreciate that Black Bulls also absolutely destroy. Well, they didn't absolutely destroy. They did very well against Israel Black Bulls. So I think it could be a very even matchup. I think because we've seen Black Bulls and Elements Pro Gaming in their previous games, and Elements Pro Gaming obviously they carried it away a lot more. But I think it'll be a lot more even than we think it will. But the flip side of that is Elements Pro Gaming have played very strong. So I think confidence will play a factor into this. They'll know going into this like we've played so well, and I think that will really help them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more different, actually. I reckon if Elements have done this well against Forza and back-to-back, I reckon they could 3-0 or 3-1 Black Bulls here, in all fairness. Just due to the fact, you know, do my predictions now, but you know what, I'm probably going to be completely wrong. It'll probably go to the opposite end of the spectrum anyway, knowing my luck. But I think this will be very interesting. I think the games will be close, but the series score may not be. But it depends how much energy and morale is left for Elements. Of course, them winning this will be great again anyway. And I think moving forward, they want to keep up with the clean sweeps, but then again, so does Black Bulls as well.
Yeah.
But I think Elements have had a much harder route going into this, though.
Yeah, I think they have, and again, I'd agree with your prediction. I think that Elements are going to take this, but I don't think we can completely count Black Bulls out yet.
No, I wouldn't at all, because we've seen some great things from Black Bulls in the past, and it's very, very difficult to actually try and avoid this. But we do have the map vetoes and the picks and bans to see exactly what's been chosen. So, of course, with Elements Pro Gaming, they have banned Europe Street Team Deathmatch, and they've banned Subway Station King and Hill. Sadly for you, and sadly for me, we won't be seeing Subway in the European region. But with Black Bulls, we do have Paradise Island being banned at King and Hill, and we've seen Farming Complex, Control Point, R2. It's not there, but you know, it's one of those things. But what has been picked for Elements is the first map being Control Point Europe Square and Team Deathmatch on Military Warehouse. And for Black Bulls, they have chosen Team Deathmatch on Skyscrapers and Team Deathmatch on Old Factory. And if it does go to a Game 5, we will be seeing that Wild West Saloon King of the Hill. So what do you think from what you've seen on those picks, bans in the matchup?
I think it's quite interesting to see that I think this is the most Team Deathmatches we've seen. Up until that last game, it was all everyone just wanted control points. They wanted King of the Hill, and that was it. But
that's in the best of 3 with the 2 controls in the King of the Hill, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then obviously in the last one, we saw a couple of team death matches come in between back-to-back and Black Bulls there. But like this time, there was 3 team death matches there. So I think we could see some completely different gameplay this time.
No, it definitely will. It will definitely come to game types as well. Like I mentioned before, with Elements, it was a harder road going into this bracket compared to Black Bulls. But will Black Bulls be able to stop the momentum of Elements? Elements have been playing so well this last 2 series, beating back-to-back, beating Forza. But can they now take down Black Bulls to see if they can make any difference? But we know Black Bulls, we know how much of a great team they are. We know how strong they are. But will Black Bulls be able to stop this momentum swing happening?
I think Elements Pro Gaming, this was the game they started out behind, but they came and they finished this map to 250 ahead. So I think we should definitely be watching what they do here. Definitely.
I will not count Black Bulls out at all. They're a very, very strong team with Divine King and Lord Mano here, especially what they're doing. And of course, with Excellency, or Excellency, you want to pronounce it, to actually do such great damage with Romeo as well. It's going to be very, very tough. But, you know, with Elements, I think they can do this, but it will be a bit of a struggle. Already now, Black Bulls with a 150-point lead going into this, but Kwaki is trying to get that damage done, trying to hold him middle at the same time. Sadly, it's not the case. Romeo does get the trade, but Lord Mano managed to take him out, but Hot Pepper gets a trade of his own with Shrapnel taking out Divine King there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see the Elements. They're really trying to get them. They know that the points is the important thing here. They've done this map before. they came out way on top, so they know how to play it.
Yeah, definitely. They know the pros and cons of going into this game type and what they need to do and what doesn't need to be done. But they just need to be a little bit more careful. They're not playing against a team where they were separating themselves like back-to-back last time. Black Bulls are going to be very well prepared going into this. And some great trades here. Divine managed to get a double of his own there with Essence taking out Hot Pepper to make sure that they're going to get any more trades in. And this is Black Bulls' chance to increase their lead. Already on 150, but so far no one can get Romeo off this middle point. Finally, Max managed to take him down. Hot Pepper gets one of his own against Lord Mano, and it's a very, very tough way to try and get this middle point so far.
I mean, yeah, as we said earlier, though, Romeo, he uses that scout to get into that point quick. So you take him off, he'll be there again before you know it.
Yeah, he definitely will, but so far, the fragment power recently, the last 20 seconds, has been in the hands of Elements. Managed to get 3 down there, and this is their chance to try and get something done, but you saw there Divine King, fantastic nado on Quark. Managed to get a double after killing Max as well on top of that, so Divine King's really, really keeping Black Bulls in this to make sure they keep that lead, even though it's not as strong as it was before. They've just got to hold it just for that bit longer until that final point.
Yeah, Divine King there really felt the power of that damage over time from the Porcupine there as well. That really didn't help him there.
Yeah, it didn't help at all, shape or form. But Elements do have 2 of the points now, so this is their time to potentially make some kind of comeback here. But Excellence has left one of his teammates behind just so he can get the point, because he knows no one will be challenging him just to help on that middle side. And Lord Mano, again, another double from him. And Excellence is just trying to put as much pressure on Spawn as he could. And even though he did die in that fight, he didn't really have too much health anyway. So he's just trying to get the damage done for Romeo to finish off, which he has, which is great place by him. But there's not too much time left. It's not 85 points left for Black Bulls until they finish. So Elements really need to try and step things up and try and get something going. But the trades have been back and forth, and it's been very close in terms of the slaying potential. So we could be seeing a first game on for Black Bulls here.
I think that's how it's going to go down.
Yeah, it's not going to surprise me in the slightest. Managed to get another butcher there. Divine King managed to finish off Quark towards the very end. And as you can see, Black Bulls managed to take that first game 1-0. And, you know, to be expected, this team is very, very strong. So we've basically got one of the top European teams versus a team of Elements where, you know, they're coming out of the woodwork, they're doing a really great job, and they've had a very strong bracket going into this. But now they're going to feel the pressure a little bit after that first game loss.
Yeah, I think that's going to, especially after they did so well, especially on that map as well. Like that map, they did so well last time. Like you say, 250 points ahead. So I thought team morale is going to take a hit from that. I think it's going to knock their confidence. They're going to be like, okay, we can't just run away with this like we did before. So
in terms of momentum, though, the Black Bulls are actually the kings of it, pretty much, because even with the event in Poland for the EU Invitational in Katowice back in July, that's kind of what they did. They went into the loser bracket, and they did a massive, massive loser bracket one to take it. So, you know, they know all about morale and how to actually go into games with a straight mindset in terms of their mentality. So Elements is going to kind of, the best phrase to probably put this is more the fact that they're going to get a little bit of a taste of their own medicine in terms of that department.
For sure, for sure.
But in terms of the capture points on those bits and pieces, Black Bulls has had a very, very strong start going into that with the fragging potential ability, and just making sure they always had B&A covered most of those times, trying to go for the trip caps here and there. But you saw Excellence going for those spawn kills as much as he could, or at least getting much damage. But looking at the stats now, as you can see, Divine King, fantastic start from him in this final series. 13 and 9 he went in with, and of course with Excellence, Lord Mano getting quite similar ones, and Roman not the greatest, but of course not everyone can do well, as you may have noticed. And Quark there on the opposite side with Elements, 12 and 9 with 7 assists, and Max there, he may have went 4 and 9 but managed to get 11 assists on board anyway. So stats very similar across the board, but in terms of Divine King going 13 and 9 there, fantastic start from him. But Quark going 12 and 9 with those 7 assists, again a good start from him. So they have to make sure both these players will keep up the good stuff going to this next game.
Yeah, I think it was quite interesting to see that Black Bulls just they didn't lose it at all. They kept their heads way level. Like they were constantly 100 points ahead of the of Elements game in there, which I think probably took Elements by surprise. They didn't expect that to happen. So I think it was nice to see Black Bulls play so well, but I really want to see Elements like pull themselves together, not get flustered and be like, right, we can take this one, guys. This is our game.
But this is the thing. Yeah, no, I was going to completely agree with you. Like with Black Bulls as well, they've got a very strong mentality as well as having very good morale going into any game situation. Ever since I saw that in Poland, I realised that this is the kind of team which very, very hard to stop if they've got such good chemistry going into any game type at all. And with Skyscrapers TDM, that's going to be quite an interesting one as well. Even though it was Black Bull's map pick, this should be Elements' time to maybe shine because they're actually quite good at TDMs themselves. But depending on the map, we'll have to find out exactly how things will go from there on. But I think Elements will be feeling a little bit of this pressure going into these next games, even before the series side, because they know how good Black Bulls are, and they both play quite similar in terms of how they flank, they push, how they bait and switch, how they actually try and get map control, and how they actually do things in terms of decision making and priority. So that's why Elements may think, well, if they're playing very similar to us in terms of how we do things, this is where we might struggle. So they probably will be feeling the pressure a little bit, especially even before going into this series.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be good to see as well. Like obviously, Elements, even though they were behind there, like their kill to death was very good. It was good, and it will work well for them in team deathmatch. So I think I'm quite looking forward. And like you say, I hope Elements don't get too flustered. I hope they bring their head, they keep a level head for this, and they go, right, we can take this, guys. This is our game. Yeah. I'm really hoping that they do that.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not going to lie, you know, as any professional player, it can be quite easy to tilt. But the things are, with a lot of pro players nowadays, you know, it's very easy for them to keep a calm, sweet mentality and just go, okay, that's one game, it's fine, let's go on to the next game, and then let's go to the next one afterwards. Take it one game at a time. If you take it a series at a time, then you've already lost straight from the get-go. But that's what's great about these pro players, especially in Guns of Boom. They realise that, they know, you know, from the experience they've had back in the Invitational to now, from that LAN experience pushing on, they realise that they need to just relax and take each game one at a time, because it's very easy to kind of get a little bit tilted, a little bit angry at your teammates or each other, and then kind of go from there. So we're going to see if Elements can make some kind of comeback, or if Black Bulls will take this next game 2-0. Of course, this is going to be Black Bulls' map pick, and already
Elements are running away with it so far.
Yeah, they've already done a fantastic start. Not even a point on the ball for Black Bulls, which is very surprising stuff, and they're trying to heal up as much as they can before Black Bulls come back for that next fight.
Yeah, I think Max has done incredibly well there. I think we saw him with like a killing spree right straight off the bat.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me in all fairness. I was just so shocked at how quick that went, considering the circumstances. I think they're, in terms of their map position and map movement, they all four of them then just had no fear and just charged and literally got away with it, you could say. But
I think that
so far, they are slowly making a comeback.
Good flank from Quark there. Divine King wasn't paying attention to him. He snuck round and he just got that knife kill and finished him off. It was very well played there.
Yeah, Lord Manor there didn't really have too much chance. He had all three members focusing on him, but Romeo was behind him anyway, just to try and clean up much as he could. And look at this though, they've already tightened up the gap. There's 81-point difference, only 26 now. And Black Bulls so far have map control. They've got that top mid. They know what's going on in terms of where Elements are trying to push. They try and push anyway, but they just can't figure out a way to try and push in. But as you can see there, a lot of trading coming up in that kill feed. Excellence with that killing spree there, the first one of the game, and he got a double on top of that. So no, Black Bulls managed to take over that lead thanks to Excellence's killing spree and double to finish things off.
Shrapnel though staying back there with the sniper rifle. He's managing to bring some more points back up for Elements there. Just as you said, Black Bulls have pulled in head Elements straight away again.
Yeah, things are going to get a little bit slower now. I think Elements are just trying to find a way to flank around as that trio. You've got one member as well trying to go around the other side to see if they can get any shots fired, or maybe just to attract the attention away. But XNC is just not having absolutely none of it here, as he just pushed straight in. No holds barred, no fear, full confidence. He knows one more's coming. He's going to try and get Quark down as much as he could, but even though he was quite weak anyway, almost managed to take him out. And as you can see there, 3 members of Black Bulls been taken down. Elements getting away with that lead here, 60-point gap.
Yeah, it's Shrapnel and Excellency just trying to swap out with the grenades there.
Yeah, trying to trade off one way or another. As you know, Shrapnel's doing a fantastic job. It seems like not only objective game times is a strong point, it must be just certain maps in general. He's done a fantastic start here, but yeah, Excellency here just doing such a good job for his team, trying to keep him in it. And so far, Black Bulls have overtaken again. This lead has gone back and forth.
It's a very close game.
Yeah, and Elements now trying to figure out a way just to hold him back. Divine King, fantastic kill there on Max, and Hot Pepper, though, with that triple kill to now take the lead back. So Elements again just going back and forth with this lead, and we think we've seen the leads change at least 5 times so far. We never really expected this, considering how big the point gap was between both teams. Just trying to fight for that map control. Black Bulls now overtaken by 30 points. It's going to be a very close one, I think, Vino.
I think Romeo as well, he shows he knows he needs to play different on each map. Like when we were on that control point, he didn't get as many kills, but he was constantly on those control points, taking points for Black Bulls. And now he's doing well. He's like the second highest fragger of the team.
Oh, fantastic play there by Quark. He needed to get something done there. He managed to get a double from round the corner, and Shrapnel got one of his own now. So even though Elements are going to be a little bit weak going to this next fight, they need to make sure to bait and switch very, very well here. And I think Black Bulls will know that as well. So they need to decide exactly how to push for this map control, how to actually flank around and try and at least get that damage done for one of them to at least try and finish, pick him off. But fantastic snipe there from Divine King to take out Quark. A great way to start things off, and it's only 23 points remaining here. And even now, they're trying to figure out a way to try and get away, but I don't think they can. And in the end, they managed to finish things off, and very, very back and forth considering that map. The lead changed at least 6 times, if I remember rightly, but in the end, Black Bulls managed to take that to a nice, comfortable victory. So now it's 2-0.
Yeah, it was probably the closest game we've seen of the day so far. Like you say, it was just constantly Black Bulls, Elements gaming, Black Bulls, Elements gaming. They were very, very well. Like that could have been anyone's game all the way through. I genuinely didn't know which way it was going to go. Yeah,
it's hard with TDM because, of course, you know, when you haven't got the armor afterwards with the penetration, you've only got HP left, so it's very easy to trade. But that's where you've got to make the most vital trades possible. So even if you go down, just try and make them as weak as you can. So at least for the next round of spawns and the next fights, they can push up and clean up anyway. But that start of the game was very weird. All 4 members of Black Bulls getting taken out straight away. Elements just went over the top, all 4 of them, without messing about there. But Excellency there just did a great job of getting those flanks around, getting the kills, keeping him in it, in all fairness. In the first 2/3 of that game, or the first half of that game, he was just doing so well, getting those frags on the board, getting the damage done where it was necessary, but also getting that first shot in every time the Elements respawned.
I think as well, like Romeo, he impressed me in that match. He did it like he was very, very good with the trades. Apparently, one for one there on kill to death.
Yeah, exactly. There's not really too much to talk about here in terms of the stats. Very, very similar, very, very close. Anything to maybe mention is, of course, the fact that Excellency and Hot Pepper with the points. But in terms of the KDs and the assists, very, very close. It shows how close they are in terms of these TDM matchups, and it's great to see as well. But with Black Bulls, it's like I mentioned before, they're a very similar team, just a little bit more experience in terms of how you want to go things. So it could be a 3-0 just due to the fact that now it's going to be Black Bulls map pick going into it next. But what do you think they need to do now to actually stop Black Bulls? Because of course with Elements we saw how well they were doing in terms of the momentum going into things. I think it's going to swing in Black Bulls' favour now, and we know full well that they're probably a little bit demoralised going into this. What do you think Elements needs to do to try and get that reverse sweep?
I think Elements just need to remain level-headed. They know they're a good team. They can do this. They just need to believe that they can. They need to not get, like I said before, not get flustered. Go in, talk to each other, think of a game plan, you know. And if they don't do that, then I think Black Bulls are probably going to take it if they can't just keep a level head.
Yeah, that's right. And like I mentioned before, it's going to be very difficult. It will be Elements map pick next though, so it could be something they could actually do to work upon. But it's very hard to say because they know how much of an experienced team they are. And, you know, maybe before this series started, Elements probably thought, oh, okay, you know, we should probably be okay here. You know, we've got this. You know, we've done so well against the other 2 series. Why we can't do it against Black Bulls? You know, did it the other 2 top teams? Why can't we do it here and now? But it doesn't seem to be the case. It's going to be their first taste of quite a crushing defeat here. But we've still got plenty of maps to play depending on if Elements can make a comeback here. So we'll have to see if this will be the start of a potential comeback and a reverse sweep, or if Black Bulls will take this next game to end it in a nice clean 3-0 to finish things off in this European GO4 in this Guns of Boom final. We'll have to see exactly how things will pan out here. This map is a lot more open compared to before, but we know how well Elements can do in terms of going in as a trio and fighting these fights here and there. They're not playing a team before where they're always been quite separated. We're playing as a team with very good chemistry and a lot of strengths. But as you can see now, all 4 members of Elements did come from that left side, but it didn't really matter too much. Lord Mano managed to get a double of his own, maybe a triple now to start things off. And let's be honest, Vino, this is not a start Elements wanted.
No. I mean, it was nice that they got that first blood there, Max with the first blood, but like Lord Mano there just cleaned up shop, and that, like you say, it's not what they needed to see going into this.
That was right. It was literally 4-1 in terms of those trades. Lord Mano with that triple, really putting the destruction in straight off the bat now. But still too early doors so far. Black Bulls are not really too far ahead as of that respect. But Shrapnel managed to get a kill of his own. Hot Pepper managed to take out Divine King in the end. But you see now, Shrapnel gets another one of his own on Lord Mano. Very crucial kill there. And Elements, as you can see now, managed to take over Black Bulls in terms of points.
Yep, I think Elements, if they just get themselves a couple of combo kills, a couple of brutal kills, like that could just absolutely change the game for them, and they could come out on top.
Yeah, very interesting play from Romeo there. There was 3 members there just waiting for him, but he decided just to run out and try and frag one of them. Sadly for him, that wasn't the case. The frag went over his head, got lobbed there. And now Black Bulls just need to be just a little bit careful in terms of what's happening. But I think it's more Elements now need to be careful. They're a little bit separated on that right side. So on that left side, and Black Bulls, 3 members there just waiting for him. Killing spree there by Divine King and a triple kill just to make matters worse.
That would have been nice if we just got the grenade kill at the end there.
Yeah, just to like add salt to the wound, pretty much, you could say. And Romeo gets a kill of his own, gets traded by Max there, but they managed to stay alive. Lord Mano does get one of his own, but not until Shrapnel does manage to nade to clean things up. But Divine King managed to get a very nice snipe there. But Romeo trying to get as much damage as he can. He knows there's 2 members there, managed to get one. Eventually does get naded. Great nade from Max there, and Hot Pepper managed to clean up the rest there. A lot of nade kills coming out from this side of the map.
There is. Lord Mano there just finishing off Hot Pepper, getting revenge for his teammate.
Yeah, that's definitely a crucial trade from earlier. Divine King, as you can see, already on 127 points, really paving way for Black Bulls here, but still it's so close between both teams. I said before, this could be the final game, depending on if Black Bulls can actually win this, or if Elements could be the start of their reverse sweep. It could potentially be, but so far it's been very back and forth, and what you can see now is the fact that Elements is just waiting for them to peek out anyway. It decided that Black Bulls are going to all go down separate entrances rather than going out together. It didn't really seem to work too well. It's just normal trades rather than anything else, and great double there by Divine King to close that gap even further.
I think Divine King's really good at getting them combo kills, which really just adds up for his team.
Yeah, he's basically doing clean-up duty at this stage. He's doing a fantastic job of it as well, but a flank there from Shrapnel to come from behind, managed to stop one of them, but 2 of them got cleaned up by XO and Seaver. Fantastic way to bring things out. 20-point difference now, double kill for Excellence there, and this is definitely a time for him to try and get that 3-0. Of course, Black Bulls want to try and end this. Don't give Elements any kind of chance to try and get that reverse sweep happening, but Lord Mano just patiently waiting. Romeo is trying to get that kill, sadly doesn't, but doesn't matter anyway. Lord Mano managed to get that kill. Divine King managed to get a crucial snipe on Shrapnel there, and Excellence managed to clean things up to end that 3-0 overall in that final series.
I think it's a shame. It would have been nice to see Elements take one, but Black Bulls were just so on form there. We were playing so well as a team. Even like as soon as Elements got a sniff of the lead, Black Bulls came in and went, no, I'm not having this. Let's just send Lord Mano in. He will clean up shop. We know what we're doing. Yeah,
he'll basically mop them all out, which is completely fair enough. But one of the strategies I saw, which was great, is that on spawn, Black Bulls, we had 2 members going on the right side, and you had one going through the middle, one going for the left. And one thing to take into account is that the 2 members from the right side was actually purposely taking fights and purposely trying to cause a distraction in some way, so that the other 2 could actually flank around, which they did, which is why you saw Lord Mano coming through the middle. You saw obviously taking down Shrapnel, and you saw another time as well where XNC was just doing the damage done from behind, whilst the other 2 from the right side were trying to clean things up. So it's nice to see some strategies from on spawn, because I think they realised there that they were quite far behind, and to try and pick things up, because I wasn't too sure what to see coming into this series due to the fact that with Black Bulls, I thought they would hide their strategies going into the final, hide, you know, all their bits and pieces, don't give too much away, but I think they've still got a lot of stuff under wraps, but they played very default, but it kind of worked in their favour.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like I said, Divine King and Lord Mano were the MVPs of that match. I think Excellency and Romeo still did great, but like Lord Mano was so good, like you say, at distracting. He was constantly there, he was waiting, people would run past him, he'd come straight out with a knife and stuff. It was very very well played there.
Yeah, it was, and as you can see from the stats there, Max on the Element side, 11 and 9, and Quark there, of course, 7 and 7 with those 10 assists, and Divine King going 9 and 7, did a lot of work for his team, but Excellence there, 6 and 7 with a massive 12 assists. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest. He always seems to be the assist god every time I cast him, every time I watch him anyway. Does a fantastic job with that damage dealt. But apart from that, most of the other stats are very similar and very close call anyway. But again, another fantastic TDM game to finish off. Even though that was a 3-0, it was a great way to see such a close matchup between those two teams. I feel like it could have gone either way in two of those game types, but it's just more the fact that, of course, sometimes you do see those 3-0s, but the scores don't say too much about it in terms of what we saw in those individual games.
I mean, yeah, both of those team death matches in their matches there, they were constantly, like you say, trading back and forth with the with who was going to win. You didn't know at any one time where it was going to go because they were constantly just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was very exciting to watch.
Yeah, because those two TDM games could have gone on either way. Yeah. But we do have a bracket for you to show you exactly what happened on the European Go4 finals side of things for Guns at Boom. So, of course, with all the quarterfinals, they were all a clean sweep. And the Israel Black Bulls did lose to their counterparts, Black Bulls 2-0. Then back-to-back, funny enough, lost to Elements 2-0. But going into that third place playoff, they sadly did lose to the Israel Black Bulls 3-1. And Black Bulls beat Elements Pro Gaming in a very convincing 3-0, but two of those games could have definitely gone either way considering the circumstances and the scores and what happened, because those scores just went back and forth in all of those TDM games, which is a fantastic to see. And in my opinion, that was a great final. It's just the fact that with the 3-0, it wasn't as close as it looks on paper.
Yeah. I think Black Bulls are going to be happy as well because they took it overall, and also they won the third place playoff as well. So that's just going to be a great overall score for them.
Yeah, having two of those teams, like or both your counterparts, to be in the top three, you can't really complain. In all fairness, it's something you would ask for. You know, there's times where they might not even get to qualify for the top 8, but you know that's very unlikely seen with both teams. But yeah, both teams did a fantastic job. And with that final, did you expect Black Bulls to take that 3-0, or do you think it's going to be a lot closer series? Me personally, I thought it was going to be a little bit closer, at least to a Game 4 or Game 5. But I did mention before that with Elements, if they've got that momentum and morale swing, they can actually beat Black Bulls. But if they don't, then you could see from there, after they lost that first game, I think they were a bit demoralised, and then this carried on from there, and Black Bulls managed to take advantage of it.
I really thought Elements were going to at least take a couple of games. I thought they'd take it overall, if I'm being completely honest. But no, yeah, I didn't expect... Like I say, it was very close. It's not like Black Bulls absolutely just ran away with it and they were...
Yeah.
But I think Elements, they played very well. It was very close all the way through.
Yeah, well, I think it was as well, and we did think it was going to go to Game 4 or 5 considering the circumstances. Just a little bit surprised that it didn't go like all the way rather than just those first 3 games.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. I thought we were going to get a full 5 series there.
Yeah, I think that's great to see as well. And of course, that will be the European side done anyway, which is all good stuff. And yeah, it was great to see all those series and see how close it was back and forth in that final, even though it was that 3-0. But that's all of us done for the European side for the Go4s. We will be back later on for that North American side to see exactly who will take it. So we'll see you in a bit.